In the second part of the interview with Yael, we will learn about her relationship with her own soul, how she was guided from organizational psychology to energy healing, family constellations, and finally developing Karmic Constellations method. What about your own connection with the soul? Do you think you have always had it and you could hear or read the subtle signs from the soul on your path to Karmic Constellations, or was it some other communication from your other spirit guides? How was it, if you revisit from now, reflecting back how your journey unfolded and why, from being just a psychotherapist with beautiful techniques on your list, you suddenly or eventually ended up with doing Karmic Constellations?
Say that. First, I want to say my belief is that we all connected to our soul. We all, whether we aware of it or not. And in my path, when I graduated school, I actually wanted to be a clinical psychologist. But I didn't have the grades to go to uni to study clinical psychology. So I started figuring out what I want to do. And then I came into our organizational psychologist and I said, oh, that suits me better because they give results quite fast. And I'm a result-oriented person. So I started studying psychology and management, thinking I'm going to be an organizational psychologist. I also went on working in an organizational consultant company. It took me 6 months to look the way they work and say, never. There is no amount of payment that I am staying in this field. So, I didn't channel that time. I was completely away. Like all of the stuff I'm doing now, like they were like weird woohoo stuff that strange people are doing. Wasn't connected to this world at all. But that was a path I needed to go because that teach me so much. And that brought me to the path because I was like in the age, I think 24 or something like that. And I was in my first career crisis, not knowing, like I built this strategy of where I'm going to work in order to have my MA in psychology, in organizational psychology, like what am I going to do? And suddenly, poof, I have nothing. And it took me 2 years to explore. And, eventually I went into a medium. And she said all kinds of things. And you go to medium many times because like, what do I have to lose but money? Because I don't do anything important in my life and I suffer. So I went to her. She said some really amazing stuff about me. And I decided to say yes to energetic healing work. And I always say, I think I also wrote it in the book, like I thought she's a charlatan. Like she put her hands up of me. She didn't even care. We could speak politics. Really, nothing emotional, nothing from the field of psychology that I know. She did just put her hands. I didn't feel anything. I went out and I was like, she's ripping me off. Nothing happens. The path that led me to her, the people that recommended her were my bosses in the organizational consultant company. And I really looked for them. Like they were really realistic person, non-spiritual. So if it helps them, so I said, at the worst, I lost money. Like I have nothing to lose. And in the second time when I came, she said like, any changes in your life? And I was like, no. And in my mind, I was like, you didn't do anything. So why should they feel changes in my life? And she was like, are you sure? And I reflect. And what I found out is that actually, for the first time in many years, I didn't have PMS. This is not the reason I came into therapy or to energetic sessions. And then something shifted in my mind. I was more real into the energy. I think, I'm not so sure in the second time, but in the third time, I felt the energy. And 3 months later, I felt from my hands, as if they are projectors, energy just went out. After 2 nights, I called my healer and I said, okay, I have energy from my hands. What am I doing with that? And she said, you send it to someone. So I imagine my grandmother, she was at hospital at that time. I sent her energy at the third night, and then actually it stopped. But for me, that was the sign to go and study energetic healing work. So you can say it's kind of a guidance. I didn't speak with my soul. Like I didn't have in constellation, many times what we do, we say bring representation, right? So I can bring this, right? My soul and speak with it. I didn't have something like that. Don't think I even thought about the soul as an element I can channel or speak with. But yes, I was guided. Um, I again, in retrospective, I understand that in my childhood, I could feel and sense entities. Um, I was quite afraid of them. They were like the feeling that you are being followed. It's not a pleasant feeling that you are not alone, but or you're being watched. So I felt energies all the time. And also in my childhood, I could see things. There were times that I didn't have the perspective of the child, but the knowledge of the elders. Like I could see from a wide perspective, which normally kids don't see that. Not as a child, as a teen, I had it. But all those stuff I understood only in I think, my 30s to the path. So probably channeled my whole life, didn't know that. Because in my beginning, like 20 years ago, what I did was only energetic work and channeling. Even then, I didn't speak with my soul. Um, and I think what brought me to start doing the conversation with my soul was two things. One, when other medium told me, you're going too fast, your soul is tired. And I'm like, what? My soul is tired? It's like, isn't she me? Aren't we are the same? Like, how come my soul is tired? I felt really strange with that. I think something within me knew that because I had lots of burnouts. And yet I couldn't figure out the concept of I'm not my soul. But when I went on studying family constellation, so in family constellation, you bring representation to everything, right? You can bring representation to you, to your inner child, to your parents. You can bring representation to your liver. And that made me think, oh, I can bring representation to my soul. And bringing representation to my soul taught me that I'm not my soul. And that starts opening a really big and wide perspective of working with the soul in a more coherent way. I don't think I had it before. I think I was guided by my soul. So spirit guides, everything. They're in a way they're not one, but they're all connected. But what really brought me to start speaking with my soul was Karmic Constellations, was the art of representing and putting representation to my soul and start having her perspective regarding to the situation.
May I ask you maybe to fill in the gaps in between? You said you started learning energy healing and practicing energy healing. And then from there, at some stage, you went to study family constellations, right?
Yeah.
And somewhere along the way, you started channeling. So how did that all happen in the mix? Because channeling the group, I think, played a very important role
in the book.
I mean, in your development in general, right? In shaping up karmic constellations and probably
No,
shaping
no,
up your
no,
work.
no.
No?
No. When I start energetic work, I start channeling. But it wasn't channeling about come and meet me, I'll see your Akashic records, I see your life. I could see things during healing sessions. I could see karmic patterns. I could see, still can see if there are like entities in the field. So when I do energetic work, I can channel the person and his energy. And then I said, okay, I see that, but I feel like I lack of tools. So actually, I went to my healer that taught me also energetic work, and I studied how to be a channeler. I cannot say it's a gifted, I had it from childhood. I opened it with my teacher, and then I could see that I was connected as a child. And then I started doing it professionally. Like people came to me to ask for my advice as a medium, as a channeler. And after a few years, I'll admit I hated that. I hated being the one that has the answers, but people might not follow it. So I decided I put channeling aside and I'm going to do more therapy. I wanted to be on the side that help people go through the path instead of telling them this is the path you should take. Stop being a channeler, a medium. That was my second career crisis, or not liking doing that. And went also in pregnancy with my third child, where I had pregnancy depression and postpartum depression, like the big night of the soul, as everyone call it today, without knowing this is the big night of the soul, with lots of mistrust of spirit, lots, like I didn't trust spirit anymore. And during the darkness of my soul, and the depression, I went on studying actually group facilitating. From everything I did, that for me was the most healing 2 years I've ever experienced. That took me out of the depression, connected me back to myself, to my passion. And those days, my passion was actually working with parents, bringing all the knowledge I had from a child that suffered from her parents to parents so their children will not suffer. So for me, I believe more in healing the parents than I believe that healing the parents will heal the kids more than just sending the kids to work and you're not doing any work. So stepping out of my depression, coming back to my powers, I said I'm going to work only with parents. And then I saw those patterns, those transgenerational patterns. And so I said, okay, I see all those transgenerational patterns. I want to understand them more. I don't need a method. I just want the understanding how they go throughout generations. So I went in studying family constellation. I fell in love with the method. And actually, when I stopped, after 2 years of studying family constellation, I became a teacher in Israel myself. During that time, I also studied somatic experiencing to work trauma work because many parents have lots of traumatic emotions from their childhood. So you need to release that in order that they will be better parents to their children. And I think only after I finished family constellation, start teaching family constellation, I start going my path, owning my spirituality back again, working on spiritual things, and gaining more and more confident in spirit. The group in the book, they actually came only in the book. So for many years, I knew I'm a medium, not only a channeler, I'm a medium. Like I can channel entities, not only the soul. But I was very afraid of that. So I said no. So what happened in the book was that we actually almost finished the entire book, no channeling, nothing. And then we came to work on the chapter of the Akashic Records. And in this chapter, my editor, she couldn't understand what are the Akashic Records. And I did my best to explain to her. And still she couldn't understand it. And I was wordless because I said everything I know how to say and very frustrated because I said everything I know and all the ways I know how to say it. And also for me, it was really clear what the Akashic Records are. And then I felt this energy coming. So I told my editor, hit on record, I have this energy coming, let's see what they have to say, and start channeling. And in the end, my editor was like, now I understand. Let's put it in the book. So what we did is, in a way, we we overview the entire book and brought a channeling of the group to each chapter. So I never channeled the group before I got to the chapter of the Akashic Records. I didn't practice mediumship before because I was ambivalent regarding that. I will say that since then I am practicing, but more not about doing like private session of mediumship. I still don't like that. But more of a, like general questions, understanding the world and things like that. So, and in my spiritual exploration lab, I channel now every month. I thought I'd channel only the group, but then the Lord of Karma came, the Council Between Life came. So I think whatever the subject is, I'm channeling an entity regarding the subject, which is quite neat and fun.